Hey there, welcome to my channel. I'm so glad that we're hanging out today. Today we are going to be doing a pretty massive, pretty massive eyeshadow declutter. This is my entire eyeshadow collection in a bucket. Some are, as you can see, palettes, some are liquid, some are individual. All of that, there's different kinds, different varieties, different brands, some high-end, some drugstore. I did not actually purchase all of these outright. Some of these were sent to me via influencer or from subscription boxes and things like that. But it's a lot of them. And even though they are organized, I look at it sometimes and I'm like, that's a lot of eyeshadow. And I don't use all of them. So I'm going to sort through all of them with you today. Just because something did not work for me does not mean it will not work out for you. So anyway, that little sort of disclaimer. Another little disclaimer before we get started, just because I am decluttering these does not mean necessarily that they're going to be thrown away. If they are not overly used and they are not spoiled or expired or anything like that, I will of course try to donate them, find them another good home. Let's get started. Just because they are larger, I'm going to start with my eyeshadow palettes. This is the first one that I do want to talk about, and it is from Ilia. I think that is how you pronounce it. This is a clean beauty brand, and this is their Warm Nudes, the Necessary eyeshadow palette, or should I say the Necessary eyeshadow palette in Warm Nudes. And I purchased this about a year ago, and I've used it quite frequently, but as you can see, the eyeshadows are packed in so beautifully that even though I've used it quite a bit, there's not a lot of show that I've used it. But I really do enjoy this. This would be a perfect eyeshadow palette if you are looking for pigmented eyeshadows, but you're trying to get into clean beauty brands. This would be a great one. I really do love these. The mattes are beautifully buttery mattes, and then the shimmers are beautiful. Definitely am keeping this. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Sultry palette. This was a holiday palette. I'm not exactly sure of when it was a holiday palette. If I can find it, I will put it on the screen. This was a holiday palette that they did keep on. I don't think that they still sell it though. But I do love these palettes. It is a nice neutral palette. If you are looking for a palette that looks like this and they have stopped selling it, pretty much this palette is a lot like the new Naked, Naked Reloaded, I think is what it is called. That newer Naked palette. But the shimmers in here are just gorgeous. I was going to try to pan this palette during 2020, but yeah, that obviously is not happening. I made a lot more progress on my other palette that I did intend to pan this year, which we will see next. And that palette is my extremely dirty Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance. I absolutely love this palette. It is my favorite. As soon as I do pan this completely, I am going to repurchase it. I have two that are completely gone. I will insert a picture of what this looked like at the beginning of 2020, just so you can sort of see the ones that I am having issues actually getting through, because I don't use them all that often. Even though they are beautiful colors, I mean, you can see them. There are these pinks and reds and Real Gar here, that nice orange color. They're beautiful colors. I just don't wear them quite so often. But yeah, I absolutely love this palette. If you were looking for just a basic palette, or you were trying to get into makeup to do makeup for events, this would be a great one, because this one works with multiple looks, multiple occasions, multiple skin tones, multiple ages, all of that. It works wonderfully. So these are all at the top pretty much because they are my favorites. This is the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. One, I just love the packaging on this. It is so beautiful. It extends to this side as well. Looks like little postcards. And then when you open it up, you got a really nice, you have a really nice mirror. And something about this eyeshadow palette, I didn't buy it whenever it first came out because I looked at pictures online and I thought, well, this just looks sort of like a really boring basic palette, but it's not. It is so beautiful, so beautiful. The only thing with this eyeshadow palette, I find that Hell Ride and Wild Heart. These two reddish pinkish shades, they are a little hard to blend, I would say. It eventually gets there. It eventually gets blended, but these two get the least use out of the entire palette just because it requires a little more work, but I would definitely recommend this palette. I am definitely keeping this palette. All right, so next up we have Nubian 3 Coral palette from Juvia's Place. I think that this is an exclusive to Ulta. That is where I picked it up. It just has cardboard packaging, which I am perfectly fine with. And there's no mirror, once again, perfectly fine with that. But this is the palette. It is another neutral palette. I bought this last summer and I really like the colors. They blend easily, they're good to work with, but I think that I'm going to try to rehome this palette just because on me, the colors don't last all throughout the day. And I usually have extremely long work days, so, you know, I don't feel the need to wear eyeshadow if it's just going to last like 2 hours out of the day. So I do recommend this because I do think it is a good eyeshadow palette. However, I'm going to try to rehome it. It's going in the declutter pile. This one is from BareMinerals. This one is from their Bounce and Blur line, and this is in the shade range of Dusk. So this one has gotten its fair share of use as well. These are putty formulas, and they can be used either with fingers or with a brush. Me, I find that using fingertips makes them a bit more pigmented, but regardless of how you use them, I think it is a great formula. They do not crease at all during the day, even in really high humidity. So I am definitely holding on to this one. All right, Pure Soiree Diaries. This is from Pure Cosmetics, and it is a basic neutral palette. For a while, I was in love with this palette. Not anymore. I don't know why. I am just not. The colors don't speak to me anymore, so I think I will definitely try to rehome this. Okay, so next we have the Huda Beauty Amethyst Obsessions. And this, I used this in a first impressions video. I also used this in a random number generator picks my eyeshadow video. And in addition to that, I tried to use it a few times. I found this to be a horrible eyeshadow palette. Just because they didn't, like the shimmers didn't stick. They kind of, even with like an eyeshadow primer and like a glitter glue and all that, they fell throughout the day, and I just found the purples super hard to blend. They would either get really muddy or they would blend out to absolutely nothing, and just, yeah, it's a no for me. It is definitely being rehomed, being decluttered. And the Naked Urban Decay Smokey eyeshadow palette. This I bought whenever they were actually getting rid of it. And it went on sale. I thought, like, yeah, like I wouldn't have paid full price for this, but let me pay half price for it. And I can see why they stopped making it. This is not that great of an eyeshadow palette, to be honest. I don't find that it lives up to Urban Decay's formula. I found that it was also kind of really a muddy eyeshadow palette, and for, you know, for smoky eyes that are supposed to be nice and smoky and blended, you do not want muddy eyeshadows. I did use this about, I think like 3 months ago in a forgotten makeup, just to sort of see if it got any better. Like, you know, it was better than I remembered it, or maybe I got better with makeup. And the answer was no, it was not good. I think I am going to depot some of these though, because I really do, like, I like these, I like this shimmer, I like Radar, but the matte shades are what I found to be super, super muddy. So I'm going to put this off to the side to remind myself to depot some of them before I toss it. Now, if you want to talk a smoky eyeshadow palette that is fantastic, is the Huda Beauty Smoky Obsessions palette. I love this one. To me, it's sadly has a crushed up, I dropped it and it got all crushed, the rose quartz shade. But this is just perfect for smoky eyes because you have your shimmer, if you would like some shimmer in there, you have a pure black, and then you have your browns. So the Huda Beauty Smoky Obsessions can definitely, and I've done this definitely before, if you would like a really subtle smoky eye for work, like if you're going from like work to an event after work, this would be a perfect eyeshadow palette for you. I am keeping this. All right, we have Hank and Henry's Living in Color. This one I got in a BoxyCharm. It has these shades in it. It is nice, fun shades. Way too much packaging though, in my opinion. Like these are the eyeshadows. This is the packaging. Yeah, this is just a really awkward, like super awkward eyeshadow palette to have in my little box. And they're fun. I liked them, but I didn't like them enough to really hold on to them. So I'll do my best to pass this along to somebody else. All right, so this is a sort of like Z palette, a magnetic palette that came in some subscription box, I can't remember, but it came with some eyeshadows. And I'm definitely keeping the actual packaging so that I can put things that I do depot. But this eyeshadow is not from that. I can't remember the brand that this eyeshadow is from. I do like that eyeshadow though. But these were the eyeshadows that came with it, and I'm not actually too impressed by these eyeshadows. I think I will keep this one because I'm always in need of a good like bone shade for my arch. I'll keep this one because I do like that one, even though it's not like properly magnetic, and so it keeps falling. But these, yeah, these did not really thrill me. I found them to be extremely powdery. So these three, I'll see if somebody can use them. But out of that, I'm just going to keep this one. So this is a very tiny eyeshadow palette, and I absolutely love it. It is from the e.l.f. Bite Side Eyeshadows. This is the shade range of Truffles. If all goes well with my my allergy eye issues, I will have a tutorial actually using, it's not really a tutorial, I mean it's going to be like sort of a tutorial, but it's a full face of makeup under $23 sort of video. So yeah, I'll be creating an eye look using this eyeshadow palette because I think they run like $3 and I think it's great. From what I've heard, not all of the bite-sized eyeshadows are good from e.l.f., but I do enjoy the Truffles shade range. Celestial Thunder from Dominique Cosmetics. It reminds me of like a superhero name. I love this eyeshadow palette. I kind of forgot it was at the bottom of the part of the bucket that I'm at. I forgot about this eyeshadow palette, but I really do love it. So I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to try to use it more often. I think it is a fun eyeshadow palette. I like Lucid Dream and Mystic Ice, those two pops of color. All right, Mystic Petals from NYX Cosmetics. This is in the shade Midnight Orchid. For some reason, the really awkward and horrible eyeshadow tutorial that I did using this palette is one of my top watched videos, and it's slightly embarrassing, but that's okay. If you have watched that video, thank you for watching it. It was like one of the first like 5 I made. But anyway, this I do like this eyeshadow palette. I think it's still made. If you were looking for a good pink and purpley sort of eyeshadow palette with a few neutrals thrown in there, I do think that this is a good one. I will be keeping this one. By the way, you are watching this and you see any of these palettes that I'm keeping and you're like, yeah, I want to see a tutorial on that, just let me know. Drop that in the comments down below. We have Mar from ColourPop. So this was back in last summer that I purchased this, and I do like this eyeshadow palette. It's another one that I sort of forgot about, so I'm going to keep and try. So I am going to keep and try to reuse this palette. I do like the blues, and I did, as you can see, use the blues quite a lot. But I also do like that this is also like, if you remove, I can't do that really well, but if you remove the blues, as you can see, it just sort of turns into a neutral eyeshadow palette, and that is really neat. Big eyeshadow palette from Iconic London. It's big and it's bulky, and I know that I said that I was getting rid of Living in Color sort of because it was big and bulky, but this one I use quite often. I'm going to have to actually move the camera out a little bit so you can see. It is a huge eyeshadow palette, but I love every single color. This is perfect for me for everyday wear. Because even in everyday, I'll still use shimmers if they're neutral shimmers. but I absolutely love this one. Every single shadow in this palette blends like a dream. It is wonderful. They're buttery. Cannot speak enough about how much I love this eyeshadow palette. This, by the way, I forgot to say, it's Iconic London's Day to Slay eyeshadow palette. Essence Spiritual Gangster I bought specifically for a video and used it for that video. I did like the colors whenever I picked it up in the store, and I still do like the colors, but I found that a lot like the Juvia's Place, these just do not stay on me throughout the day, and I find that they actually fall out during the day. Like, it doesn't have that much fallout when I'm actually applying them on my eyes, but throughout the day they just like flake off, I guess. It's weird. It's a look that I really don't want to have, like, she bad all over my under eye. Like, not really a look I want midday. So decluttering this one. All right, another big eyeshadow palette. This one is from Morphe, and it was a collaboration with Pony's Makeup. It is the 35 Eye Icy Fantasy. I did a review of this one as well as a tutorial. I'll link those down below. If I have tutorials, by the way, with any of these eyeshadow palettes, I will definitely link them down below. I am keeping this one just because it is such a fun pastel color. Absolutely love it. This one is from Storybook Cosmetics. It is the Red Riding Hood from their Fairy Tale collection, a mini book. I do love the packaging. So, like, this is adorable packaging. So these are the eyeshadows. I don't know. I'm on the fence about decluttering this one. One, it's cute packaging, but it is bulky packaging. But two, I only used this eyeshadow palette like maybe 3 times. All those 3 times though, I wasn't exactly sure if I liked it. I was sort of like on the fence about the colors, just because there was tons of fallout. They didn't really blend that well. I don't know though. I think that I'm going to hold on to this one until possibly my next eyeshadow declutter, just so I can see, like, make a better opinion about it. This is from Shayna B Miami. This is the Miami palette. Alright, it is a nice nude palette. Don't really have too much to say about it. Don't have any complaints. It's just a good, like, basic day palette. I will keep this. All right, Balm Cosmetics, What's the Tea? This is their iced tea palette. I am going to declutter this. However, before I do declutter it, I did just want to show you the layout in case you were interested. They have the tea collection and then the iced tea collection. I was not thrilled with these at all. So yeah. The primers were pretty good. I might depot the primers, but the actual shadows, no thank you. So, goodbye. So I'm just going to do 3 more eyeshadows during today's declutter. I still have quite a few palettes left, and then I have all of my loose eyeshadows, liquid eyeshadows, things like that. So I don't want this video to be too long. I am going to do a part 2 next Friday. So make sure you click that subscribe button, ring that bell. That way you will be notified whenever I do upload the part 2 to this eyeshadow declutter. But this is just the beginning of it. I'm actually going to be decluttering all of my makeup over the next few months, really. And so yeah, I want you along for that adventure. So these are going to be my last 3 as far as today's decluttering. This is from NYX, the Ultimate Edit eyeshadow palette, their Petite shadow palettes in the shade range of Ash. Now, about these eyeshadows, so NYX eyeshadows are either really great for me or really bad for me. I love NYX makeup in general. I find that it is fantastic. Store brand, drugstore, there you go, that's the name, drugstore makeup. But these just did not do it for me. I have other Ultimate Edit eyeshadow palettes that I think were great, but not this one. The colors were they're just not my favorite. So I am going to be passing this along to someone else. All right, we have an eyeshadow from Aether Beauty, and this is their Crystal Grid Gemstone eyeshadow palette. I do love this eyeshadow palette, although I don't get tons of use out of it because for me personally, it's not an eyeshadow palette that I can wear by itself. I usually use these as accent shades in eye looks, so it doesn't show that much wear because all of these are shimmer shades. Now, they're not like in-your-face shimmer shades. You can build them up, like if you wet your brush or you use a setting spray, you can definitely make them like wow impactful. but they are pretty sheer as far as the shimmer goes. They're not glittery in any way, shape, or form. But I've tried to use this palette solely on its own, and then by like 2 hours later, my entire eye just looks really sweaty and like a real sweaty mess from the shimmer. So I do like this palette. I am keeping this palette, but it sadly doesn't get all too much use in my collection. And then the final palette that we're going to be talking about today is Fenty Beauties Moroccan Spice. Excuse the ring light. It's quite a reflective surface. I do love this eyeshadow palette. These three are actually my favorite shades, with this icy shade as well as these gold shades. So for the time being, I am going to keep this eyeshadow palette. It's like a Jenga of eyeshadow palettes. All right, so for the time being, these are the eyeshadow palettes that I am choosing to keep. Who knows? Maybe I will be a little more cutthroat in next Friday's video, the eyeshadow declutter part 2. We'll see, but these are the eyeshadows that I am keeping. I'm going to put them off to the side, keep the rest here for that decluttering video. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your day with me. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell on the way out. It would help me out tremendously. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in another video. Goodbye.